My sister stole my identity, emptied my accounts, and my parents blamed me for not being careful enough. I'm still reeling from everything that's happened, and I honestly don't know where to turn. My name is Alex, 31, male, and I'm currently staring at a completely empty bank account, a maxed out credit card, and a mountain of debt that isn't even mine. And it's all thanks to my younger sister, Chloe, 28, female. The worst part? My parents are siding with her, telling me I should have been more careful. Let me give you some background. Chloe and I have always had a complicated relationship. She was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. She was charming, beautiful, and always got her way. I, on the other hand, was the quiet, studious one, always in Chloe's shadow. My parents constantly compared us, always subtly implying I wasn't good enough, not as outgoing, not as fun as Chloe. If I got an A, it was expected. If Chloe got a B, it was celebrated as her trying her best. This favoritism created a deep rift between us, and I often felt invisible in my own home. As we grew older, the comparisons didn't stop. Chloe bounced from job to job, always struggling financially, while I worked hard, saved meticulously, and built a successful career in software development. I never flaunted my success, but it was clear I was in a much more stable position. About 5 years ago, I started my own tech startup. It was a passion project, something I poured my heart and soul into. For the first few years, it was lean. I was working long hours, living off ramen, but I truly believed in what I was doing. Slowly but surely, it started to gain traction. We secured some angel investment, then a significant round of venture capital. My personal finances improved dramatically. I bought a modest but comfortable house, invested wisely, and finally felt like all my hard work was paying off. I was careful with my money, always planning for the future, knowing that the tech world can be unpredictable. I had a significant nest egg, a healthy investment portfolio, and a good credit score. Chloe, on the other hand, continued her pattern of financial instability. She'd call me asking for money constantly, for rent, for car repairs, for a business opportunity that inevitably fell through. I helped her out a few times, but after a while, I had to draw a boundary. It felt like a bottomless pit, and my help was enabling her rather than helping her get on her feet. Each time I said no, she'd turn on the charm, then the tears, then finally the anger, accusing me of being selfish and uncaring. Our parents would always intervene, telling me, "She's your sister, Alex. Family helps family." They'd guilt-trip me until I'd reluctantly give in, but the resentment grew with each transaction. Last year, things started to get weird. I noticed a few small, uncharacteristic charges on my credit card statements. A subscription service I didn't recognize, a small online purchase for something I definitely didn't buy. I brushed it off initially, thinking maybe I'd forgotten something or there was a minor error. I'm busy, you know? My company was in a critical growth phase, and my mind was elsewhere. Then, I received a notification from my bank about a suspicious login attempt from an unknown device. I changed my passwords immediately, set up two-factor authentication on everything, and thought that would be the end of it. I even mentioned it to Chloe casually, hoping she'd be sympathetic. She just shrugged and said, "The internet is full of weirdos, Alex. You should be more careful." The irony of that statement now makes my stomach churn. The real bombshell dropped about 2 months ago. I tried to access my main savings account to transfer funds for a down payment on a new office space for my company. The login failed. I tried again, thinking I'd mistyped my password. Failed again. I called the bank, and after a lengthy security verification process, the representative informed me that the account had been completely emptied. Every single penny. My heart dropped into my stomach. I felt a cold dread spread through me. They told me that a series of large transfers had been made over the past few months, culminating in a final withdrawal that cleared the account. These transfers were supposedly authorized by me. They mentioned that the authorized user had provided all the correct security information. Panic set in. I immediately checked my other accounts. My investment portfolio, gone. My secondary checking account, drained. My credit cards, maxed out with purchases I'd never made. High-end electronics, designer clothes, extravagant trips. I felt like I was drowning. How could this happen? I was so careful. I filed a police report, contacted all my banks and credit card companies, and started the long, arduous process of trying to recover my funds and clear my name. The police, however, were not very optimistic. They said identity theft cases are difficult, especially when the perpetrator is good. They asked me if I had any suspicions. My mind immediately went to Chloe. She knew my habits, my birthday, even some of my old passwords from when we were kids. She was always asking me questions about my finances, just curious about how much I was making. I dismissed it as typical sibling curiosity, but now it felt sinister. The bank investigations started to yield results, and they were devastating. The transfers from my accounts were traced to a new bank account opened in my name, but with Chloe's address and phone number. The credit cards had been used for purchases delivered directly to her apartment, or for services she had clearly used. There were even flight tickets booked in my name, but with her frequent flyer number attached, to destinations I had no intention of visiting. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. It was Chloe. She had systematically, meticulously, and completely looted my financial life. She had somehow obtained my social security number, likely from old documents lying around our parents' house during one of her visits, and used it to open accounts in my name, then slowly siphoned everything away that I confronted her. I went to her apartment, the one she could suddenly afford with all the new furniture and gadgets. She opened the door, looking completely unconcerned, wearing a new designer dress that looked suspiciously like one I'd seen charged to my credit card. "Chloe," I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "What have you done?" She feigned innocence. "What are you talking about, Alex? You look terrible. Don't play dumb with me. My bank accounts are empty. My credit cards are maxed out. It's all connected to you." I yelled, pulling out a printout of some of the damning evidence I had gathered. Her face finally cracked. The false innocence melted away, replaced by a cold, hard stare I'd never seen before. "Oh, so you finally figured it out," she said, a smirk playing on her lips. "Took you long enough, Mr. Smarty Pants." I was stunned. I expected denials, tears, anything but this brazen admission. "Why, Chloe? Why would you do this?" "Because you owe me, Alex. You always had it easy. You got everything. Our parents always favored you, even when they pretended not to. You got the brains, the success, the money. While I struggled, you just sat on your millions. It's not fair. I deserve a piece of that life too." Her voice rose, becoming shrill and defensive. "You were just going to hoard it all for yourself anyway. What's the big deal? You can just make more. You're so good at it." I felt a wave of nausea. She truly believed she was entitled to my money, my hard-earned money, because of some perceived injustice from our childhood. This wasn't just about money. It was about a deep-seated resentment, a twisted sense of entitlement that had festered for years that I told her I was going to press charges, that she was going to jail. She just laughed. "Go ahead, Alex. See how far that gets you. Our parents will never let it happen." And that's when I made the mistake of involving our parents. I called them, tearfully explaining everything. I laid out all the evidence, the bank statements, the police report number, everything. I expected shock, outrage, condemnation of Chloe's actions. What I got was a lecture. "Alex," my mother said, her voice dripping with disappointment, "are you sure about this? Chloe would never do something like that." "Mom, I have proof. The bank traced it all back to her. She even admitted it." "Well," my father interjected, his tone dismissive, "it sounds like you weren't careful enough with your information, son. You're in tech. You should know better than anyone about online security. It's not Chloe's fault if you leave your private details lying around for anyone to find." I was speechless. They were blaming me for my sister stealing my entire financial existence. "Are you serious right now?" I finally managed to stammer out. "She committed a felony. She stole my identity and everything I own." "It's just money, Alex," my mother said, as if that made it okay. "You're so good at making it, you'll bounce back. But Chloe, she's sensitive. A police record would ruin her life. Think about her future." "And what about my future, Mom? What about the fact that my business is now on the brink because all my capital is gone? What about my credit score being destroyed? What about the sheer betrayal of it all?" I was shouting now, tears streaming down my face. "You're overreacting," my father said, his voice firm, ending the discussion. "You two need to work this out without involving the law. Family handles these things internally. Chloe just made a mistake, a big one, yes, but you don't send your sister to prison over a mistake. A mistake. This wasn't a mistake. This was a deliberate, calculated act of financial destruction. And they were minimizing it, protecting Chloe, just as they always had. The golden child could do no wrong. Even when she committed a serious crime against her own brother, I felt a profound sense of isolation and despair. Not only had my sister betrayed me in the most heinous way, but my own parents had chosen her side, effectively condoning her actions and blaming me for being the victim. My entire foundation, both financial and emotional, had been shattered. The police investigation is ongoing, but without my parents' cooperation, and with them actively trying to shield Chloe, it's an uphill battle. I've started the process of disputing all the fraudulent charges and closing the fraudulent accounts, but the banks have told me it could take months, even years, to sort everything out. In the meantime, I have no access to my funds, my credit is in tatters, and my company is facing serious financial difficulties. I'm having to lay off employees, something I never wanted to do, that I've cut off all contact with Chloe. I've also told my parents that until they acknowledge the severity of Chloe's actions and stop blaming me, I cannot have them in my life either. They've responded with more guilt-tripping, calling me heartless and unforgiving, saying I'm tearing the family apart. They don't seem to grasp that Chloe already tore it apart when she decided to steal my identity and livelihood, that I'm living in a nightmare. Every day is a struggle to fight off debt collectors for purchases I didn't make, to try and secure temporary funding for my company, and to simply cope with the emotional fallout. I feel completely alone. Has anyone ever dealt with something like this? How do you come back from this kind of betrayal, especially when your own family is complicit? What are my legal options if my parents continue to obstruct the investigation? How do I even begin to rebuild my life when everything I worked for has been systematically dismantled by my own sister, with the silent approval of my parents? I need advice, support, anything. I feel like I'm losing my mind.